Introduction to Bill.com API SDK. The Bill.com API SDK is a powerful tool that allows developers to integrate the Bill.com platform into their applications, providing access to a wide range of features and functionalities. In this tutorial, we will explore how to parse the Bill.com API SDK. Step 1: Understanding the API endpoints. To get started with parsing the Bill.com API SDK, you need to understand the different API endpoints available. The Bill.com API provides a range of endpoints for tasks such as creating and managing bills, invoices, and payments. You can find a list of available endpoints in the Bill.com API documentation. Step 2: Setting up API credentials. To use the Bill.com API, you need to set up your API credentials. This includes obtaining an API key and setting up authentication. You can find instructions on how to do this in the Bill.com API documentation. Step 3: Making API requests. Once you have set up your API credentials, you can start making API requests. You can use a tool such as Postman or curl to send HTTP requests to the Bill.com API endpoints. For example, you can use the GET endpoint to retrieve a list of bills or the POST endpoint to create a new bill. Step 4: Parsing API responses. When you make an API request, the Bill.com API returns a response in JSON format. To parse this response, you can use a JSON parser such as JSON Parse in JavaScript or the JSON module in Python. For example, if you are using JavaScript, you can parse the response like this: var data JSON parse response. Step 5: Handling errors. When working with the Bill.com API, it is important to handle errors properly. You can do this by checking the status code of the API response. For example, if the status code is 200, the request was successful, but if the status code is 400 or 500, there was an error. Best practices. When parsing the Bill.com API SDK, there are several best practices to keep in mind. First, make sure to handle errors properly. Second, use a consistent naming convention when parsing API responses. Third, use a JSON parser to parse API responses. Finally, make sure to test your code thoroughly to ensure it is working as expected. Conclusion. Parsing the Bill.com API SDK is a straightforward process that requires understanding the API endpoints, setting up API credentials, making API requests, parsing API responses, and handling errors. By following the steps outlined in this tutorial and using best practices, you can successfully integrate the Bill.com platform into your application.